Hey internet, this is Chat Fangirl signing in, and this is what makes a good or a bad relationship. Now, I know I'm only 16, I'm probably not the best person to be giving relationship advice, and I'm gonna have people going, oh, you're too young to know what love is, blah 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 blah. But I've had 7 long-term relationships, and I class long-term as over 6 months for me because I've never really lived long enough to have a proper long-term relationship. My longest relationship was a year and 6 months, I believe. And there's certain things that I figured out that makes a good relationship and what makes a bad relationship. And the first thing is your partner, no matter what gender, should be your best friend. They should be the person that you go to when you need help. They should be the person that you can spend hours with and not realise that the time has gone by. They should be the ones that make you happy, even like when you're sat there and you're trying hard not to cry. They should be the ones that bring the smile to your face. But if they're your only friend, then you're doing the whole relationship thing wrong. Your partner cannot be your only friend. It's not healthy. I know there was this girl in my old school, and she was my best friend, and then she got with this bloke, and she never spoke to me while she was with him. She lost all of her friends because her boyfriend wouldn't let her. He soon became her entire world. And that was just so sad. She lost all of her friends because she was just obsessed with this one boy. So your partner should be your best friend, but not your only friend. They should listen and support you, and if you're having a bad day, they should be the ones that like come over and watch movies and play video games with, like. But if they're controlling you, if they don't let you go out and see your friends, or if you don't let your partner go out and see their friends, then you are the abusive one in the relationship. I don't care what gender you are, but if you're trying to constrict what your partner does, then you are the abusive one. They are their own person, and if you don't trust them to be with other people, then the relationship is just not going to work out. You need to trust them. If you don't trust your partner, then what point is there in the relationship? If there's no trust, then how can you love them? Well, I've loved someone that I couldn't trust, so. But once I realised that I couldn't trust them, I left. Technically, we weren't actually in a relationship, it was more like a close friendship thing. But once I realised that I couldn't trust them with anything, I left. There's no point in being close to someone that you can't trust. If you can't trust them, then they will never know the real you. And that is very important in a part. Sorry, my friend is just not behaving today. You've got to respect their boundaries and they've got to respect yours. If you're like me and you're not very big on physical contact, then your partner has to respect that. Or if you're like my current other half and you have problems with social interactions, then your partner should be able to recognise that and not force you to anything that you feel uncomfortable with. If you don't like parties, don't go to the parties. If you don't like them using certain words, tell them. Don't command them, just tell them that it makes you feel uncomfortable. You can't control what that person does. But if they respect you, then they will take steps to make sure that you're not uncomfortable in any situation. And I know that I went out with this one bloke and he didn't respect any of my boundaries. He was very oppressive, he was very needy, I guess, quite clingy. Eventually I broke up with him about after a year. And I think the biggest problem in that relationship was that he didn't respect me. He didn't respect me as a person. He didn't respect me in any sense. To him, I was just an object. Okay, moving swiftly on from that person. A good relationship, they make time for each other. My parents tend to have a date night once every month. I know me and my partner will try and meet up fairly regularly on dates and stuff, but we'll also go out and hang with our friends. You have to make time for each other, but if you're spending all of your time with that person, once again, you're doing it wrong. No matter how much you love them, if you're spending all of your time with them, that relationship will not last long. If you're constantly like there next to them in every single thing that they do, they will soon despise you, they'll get bored of you, it'll become annoying, and it's just not worth it. Don't be that clingy. But if you spend none of your time with your partner, then are you actually in a relationship? I know except for long distance, sorry. I went out with this girl who currently lives in Alaska, and we had a long distance relationship for 6 months. But even then, at least 3 times a week, we were Skyping, we were constantly chatting. But because we didn't spend any time physically together, like I never got to hug her, or I never even got to look into her eyes that weren't on a screen. And I think that was the hardest part about that relationship, was that I never actually got to be anywhere near her. She was on the other side of the world. But after a few months, we called it quit. It was too stressful. But I think something else that makes a good relationship is having common goals and interests. By common goals, I mean like not quite job perspectives, but plans in life. I know that once I've left my sixth form, I'll be travelling around for a bit with my best friend, and that's a goal that me and him have had for a long time. I know this isn't technically like a relationship, but it's like a friendship, so sort of the same thing. You've got to have interests that you both share. It's going to be really hard trying to make time for each other if you don't like the same things. Like, I'm a very big geek. I love fantasy, I love sci-fi and Middle Earth, and I love all of that stuff. And if I went out with someone who hated it, the relationship would never last long, because we would never be able to agree on anything. If I plan, once sixth form's over, I plan on going in marine biology. And marine biology will take me across the world, where I'll be studying fresher sharks, where I'll be studying undercurrents and transfers of marine plants. And if they plan on staying somewhere for the rest of their life, if they plan on settling down at like the age of 25 and having kids and all that, it's not gonna work for me. I'm not the sort of person that can be tied down easily. I want to travel, even staying here in Norfolk for an extended amount of time. Although I want to stay here, there's times when I feel almost caged in by the fact that I've lived here for almost 4 years now. And that's scary. But if my partner wants to stay somewhere for the rest of their life, I can't do that. You have to have common interests, common goals, common future plans. Otherwise, the relationship is just never going to work long time. And if you or your partner is trying to force someone else into doing that with you, to force them to give up their plans for you, then you're doing it wrong. That's a bad relationship. You shouldn't ever abuse your partner, even if it's emotionally or physically. I don't care if you're a girl, if you're trans, if you're cis. I don't care if you're asexual, bisexual, pansexual. I don't care who you are or what sexuality you associate yourself with. If you're in a relationship and you hit them, or you control them, or you insult them constantly, that is abuse. That is a bad relationship. Okay, friendly insults, like if I'm playing a video game, like I'll occasionally laugh and say, dude, you suck, if like he's died like 7 times in a row. But I wouldn't properly try and insult him. And even if you don't think that it's abuse, if they make you cry frequently, then get out of that relationship. Once again, the same bloke who didn't respect me, I often went home and cried. I'd spend time in my room and just cry, and it took me so long, and my friends tried so hard to get me to break up with him. And in the end, it was a Skype call actually to my friend in Canada, and I was just sat there crying and crying and crying, and he turned around and went, why are you letting him do this to you? And that's what, it wasn't love, that was abuse, but it made me think about what love actually was. Love is giving someone the power to hurt you and hoping, or just hoping that they won't hurt you. That's what love is. It's trusting each other. If you don't trust them, there is no love. I think that's the biggest part. Even if you have trust issues, if you love someone, you trust them. I know I've got particularly bad trust issues. I don't trust many people, but the people that I love are the people that I trust. There's no way to get around it. If I love you, I'll trust you. This goes to friends, family, even like random people on the internet. I was talking to this guy in Turkey, and we were talking for like 3 hours, and in that 3 hours I already trusted him more than I ever trusted a few of my friends. And currently I've got him on Skype now, and we talk fairly regularly, and I do love him, but in the same way that I love all my friends. I love, even if we're not in a relationship, if you, bad friendships and good friendships, they're often similar to bad relationships and good relationships. It's the same thing, just without all the physical, like, touchy stuff, or like the dates and stuff. But friendships and relationships aren't that different. Quite often I'll end up going out with my best friend. And often going out with your best friend is generally, they last longer in relationships because you guys already have so much in common. And I am babbling on and on and on, and I have no idea if anyone's actually going to watch this. But if you do watch this and you have any ideas of what makes a good or bad relationship, or you've got any stories to tell, let me know in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you guys. And as usual, this is Fangirl signing out.